So a couple of months ago, I made the decision to start a YouTube channel, and it's honestly quite fun. Every video I like learning a little bit more about cameras, audio, lighting. I mean, look at my first video and then look at this one. I think I've gotten a little bit better. But one of the big decisions I had to make when I started my channel was picking a video editor. I had already bought a tripod, a wireless mic, and I actually use my phone as the camera to record all these, so I was okay on the camera side. So today we're just going to be taking a look and comparing each of these editors and just seeing which ones are better and in what ways, and which one might work best for you, and which one works best for me. So, Premiere Pro. Say what you will about Adobe, but you can't disagree with the fact that Premiere Pro is very widely used. It has an estimated market share of over 35%. The fact is just that it's been around for a really long time. It came out in 1991, and still to this day, Premiere Pro is primarily what's taught in film schools and media programs, and that's primarily what's used by professional film and TV editing. And not to mention the Adobe ecosystem. So Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, they all work really well together, and they're also in one subscription. So looking at the pros of Premiere Pro, it is widely used. You could even argue that it's the industry standard. Very good community support. Their YouTube is filled with tutorials. There's loads of free templates online and also paid ones. It has a great ecosystem with other Adobe products, and it's available on Windows and Mac. And the cons of Premiere Pro, Adobe. No, I'm just kidding. It is only available through a subscription. You will never own Premiere Pro. You're always just renting it. Adobe's done some questionable things in the past. Premiere Pro is known for being quite unstable and laggy. It can crash on big projects quite commonly. Color grading options are there, but they are nothing like the competition. And then, of course, one of the biggest downfalls of Premiere is there is no Linux support. That alone is what stops a lot of people from moving to Linux because they use Premiere as their editor. And if they move to Linux, they can't edit or have to switch, and they don't want to. I primarily used Premiere on my Windows PC, and it was not actually too great. It lagged a lot. I became very familiar with the not responding pop-up, and I actually have a pretty decent PC, I think. Anyways, I'll put the specs on screen if you're interested. However, I have to say there was an easy tutorial for everything. If there was some new thing I wanted to do, like on my previous videos I had automatic subtitles, or if I wanted to blur some sensitive information like my Wi-Fi name, it was a quick tutorial away. Next up on the list is Final Cut Pro. With an estimated 25% market share in the video editing space, it launched in 1999, which is 8 years after Premiere Pro. The pros is it's very well optimized. It is known for amazing performance. It is available as a one-time purchase, and it has pretty decent community support. Not quite to the level of Premiere, but it still does have quite a lot of tutorials, templates, and effects on YouTube. Cons. It is only available on Apple devices. If you want Final Cut, you need a Mac or an iPad, I think, these days. And those are usually non-upgradable single purchases and that are quite expensive. For example, if a company wanted to upgrade all of their editing rigs on PC with Premiere, they could just get some new processors, some more RAM, but with Final Cut on Mac, they need to get entirely new computers. And Final Cut Pro also has quite smaller industry adoption than Premiere Pro. There's a new section here. I'm just leaving this as a question mark or like a beige flag, whatever you want to call it. And I'm putting the magnetic timeline. I feel like if this was in either pros or cons, there would be people that disagreed, and rightfully so, because it's a very subjective feature. Basically, when editing on Final Cut, the timeline is magnetic. If you cut a clip, there won't be a gap like other editors, it'll just snap to the left. Some people love it, some people hate it. I actually have a good amount of experience with Final Cut Pro. When I was younger, I used to just find random stock footage on the internet and edit it together just for fun. So jumping back in was actually quite a blast from the past. I actually really enjoy the magnetic timeline, as I feel like in DaVinci and Premiere, I'm always fighting the gaps with ripple delete and stuff. And here it automatically does it for you. Next up is DaVinci Resolve, which was created in 2009. And it's by far the newest on this list, coming in 10 years after Final Cut Pro and 18 years after Premiere Pro. It quickly rose in popularity as it has some very advanced color grading, and in 2017 DaVinci changed its pricing model to offer a completely free edition of DaVinci and a paid edition called Studio, which opens many doors for new creators. Pros: can be used completely free. Studio is optional, and if you do decide to purchase Studio, it is a one-time fee. You buy it and you'll own it. It is available on Windows, Mac, and Linux, although the Linux free version has some codec support differences to Mac and Windows that are specific to the Linux version. But I've heard from one of my last videos that if you have the Studio edition, this isn't a problem. DaVinci Resolve's main big thing is its amazing color grading. It is absolutely best in class. There are a lot of editors I've seen on YouTube that edit in Premiere but do all their color work in DaVinci, and it has a very good growing community. Cons: it is a pretty steep learning curve. You know, it's an editor, a color grading suite, an audio workstation with VST support, and a VFX tool all in one. It's kind of intimidating. It's known for being kind of laggy, especially on older laptops. And well, some pretty simple effects, at least I think pretty simple effects, are locked behind the Studio Edition. I noticed this with film grain and with noise and that type of stuff. Of all editors here, the one that I have the least amount of experience with is DaVinci. It was new to me, like anybody else, though I found that getting used to the basics for editing a simple video doesn't take much time at all. Where the real learning curve comes in is in the Fairlight, the Fusion, and the Color page. It's all so intimidating. So I think the best way to compare these is I'm going to create a couple categories, and we're going to talk about how each of them rank in these categories. So the first one is the learning curve. I mean, this just has to go to Final Cut. Its smooth performance on most Apple hardware really widens the accessibility. You'll spend less time figuring out how to squeeze performance out of it and more time actually editing with less dropped frames. The interface is very opinionated, which is to say that it kind of enforces a specific workflow on you, but if you're just beginning, that's not actually a bad thing. You'll spend less time learning how to edit and more time actually editing. And though the magnetic timeline is controversial, if you're just learning, it removes a ton of friction. Your cut moves things around and everything just stays together. Performance. Again, this has got to go to Final Cut. When I started this channel, I only had a 2015 MacBook Pro. It's actually still down there somewhere. And I tried all three of these editors on my Mac, and the only one that could actually smoothly edit a 4K 24 FPS video was Final Cut Pro on an 11-year-old machine. Premiere Pro worked, but it was quite stuttery, but it was at least possible to edit. And DaVinci Resolve, no. It was a complete slideshow. Absolutely unusable. Price. So let me break down the price of all these. And I'm in Canada, so I'm going to do this in Canadian dollars. So Premiere Pro, if you just want Premiere Pro, is $29.99 per month, billed annually, so around $360. Or if you want the full Creative Cloud suite, it's $138 monthly, or you can pay $55 a month, but you agree to pay for a full year, and if you cancel at any point, you get charged an unsubscription fee, which... what the? Final Cut Pro is a one-time purchase of $400. And actually, while I was writing the script for this video, Apple announced the Apple Creator Studio, which will be $18 a month or $180 a year, which is still cheaper than Creative Cloud. And then there's DaVinci Resolve, which is free. With an optional $445, you can get the studio version of DaVinci Resolve with some more advanced features. DaVinci is the clear winner here. I mean, you just can't beat free. And even the paid studio version is barely more than Final Cut Pro, and don't even get me started on Premiere. Renting Premiere yearly is more expensive in the long run. Paid for Final Cut or DaVinci, you can use them forever for that price, whereas Premiere a little over a year and you've paid the same amount as you would have if you bought a different editor. Compatibility. So the only one of these programs that's available on Windows and Mac and Linux is DaVinci Resolve, which makes it the clear winner here. Again, the Linux version does have some issues. I would suggest researching it a bit before fully switching to Linux with the mindset that you're going to use DaVinci. Premiere is the next best. It's available on Windows and Mac, and Final Cut Pro is actually the worst, being available only on macOS and I guess iPadOS. Available work. Now, this is a weird category where I think it's important for somebody that is looking to get into editing professionally. Of these three editors, Premiere is by far the most used. Again, I said before, you can even argue that it's the industry standard. Because of that, most freelance agencies, studios, and even YouTube teams expect you to be using Premiere. If your goal is to work with other editors, take on freelance projects, or collaborate with agencies, knowing Premiere would be a huge advantage. Conclusion. So from these charts, the clear winner is actually Final Cut Pro, surprisingly. It's very well optimized, it's very powerful, it's easy to learn, and it's a one-time purchase of $400, which is very good compared to its competitor. The absolute downfall of Final Cut Pro is that it's only available on Mac, but Apple is fine with that. Apple's optimization is just hard to ignore. For solo creators and YouTubers, it just works. Premiere still makes the most sense if you're looking to get into editing at a professional level, and DaVinci I think is the best all around if you take the time to learn it. The way I see it is that I had three roads to go down. And when I go down one road, it'll be very hard to switch later on. I see other videos on YouTube of people trying DaVinci for the first time, and it's like they're just trying to inject their Premiere Pro workflow into DaVinci instead of adapting and learning new things. The editor I actually ended up sticking with was DaVinci, and that is pretty much only only for the fact that I want to be able to edit on that PC behind me, and I want to be able to edit on my laptop. I want to be able to edit a bit on my laptop, the same project, and continue on my computer, or the other way around. That's a Windows PC, so Final Cut Pro wasn't an option. At the end of the day, the best editor is whichever works for you. You might have a specific workflow in a particular editor that saves you an hour of time. That adds up, and for a lot of people, that justifies the price of paying the higher premiums of the Adobe software, because they're just so used to them that saves time. All right, that's it. You should subscribe because at 1,000 subs, I'm setting this as my profile picture. Thanks.